Alright, so Star Wars Skeleton Crew is officially here. It is released on Disney Plus. It debuted with the first two episodes, and I want to say, based on everything that I've seen with the new Star Wars show that has been released, and even though with the Star Wars projects that come out nowadays, they get hate or it's unusual towards the fan base. But I gotta say, with this show, it's a very different type of show. Plus, with the action and the retro vibes that the show brings, and the coming of age elements, and so much more that I want to talk about right here. And so, this will be my full non-spoiler review for the show. Go over my thoughts and my impressions, and just everything about the show in general as well. So that's what I'll talk about right here. And so, if you do that, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so much on any future videos. But now, let's talk about this show. I want to start off by saying, going into the show, with my experience feeling towards this new type of material that Star Wars has brought. But even as we take a look at other Star Wars shows that have come out, plus with the Acolyte and other that stuff, and it gets an unusual response, especially from fans and critics, or because as we all know, Star Wars and nowadays has a toxic fan base. But with the show, it is actually different because even though it's titled Skeleton Crew, it has a different feeling to it. It's unlike any Star Wars show that we've ever seen, and to me, I really liked it. I mean, I wouldn't say it's the best show ever, but it's a really cute and adorable show. It's especially with the basic premise, it's with four kids that have to search for their home planet after being stranded, after being on a starship and being trapped in the Star Wars galaxy with other pirates. But this is the exact same feeling towards us, especially even as the show begins, it gets right into the main story and how it ended up like this. But even though with the start of the show, it kind of feels very Star Wars but especially with the action, it is always there. But even just with the terms of Jedi and so something anything Star Wars related, it is packed right here into the show. But I think with John Watts, he literally directed the first episode of the show. It made it to where it really feels different, because even though when this show was announced 2 years ago back at Star Wars A Celebration, but I feel this would attract my interest, but it actually feels like a very type of show that's very coming of age, because this show is gonna be for a younger audience, and they'll get enjoyment out of this. But even from my experience, but even though it's a coming of age show, it definitely still feels like Star Wars, a very grounded story. But I have a very positive feeling towards the show. I don't know if it's enticed me to keep on watching, but it's exciting to see where the journey goes from here. Because I want to point out with the character of Wim, and with his character and his story for the way that it is told in the show, it's actually kind of cool, the way that of what he wants to grow up to be a Jedi, about what he sees. And I have a very good feeling about his character. But even with his friend Neil, who is an elephant, I thought he was really cute, and he's got his friends back and trying to look out for him. But I think with these two characters, they make a great duo and great friends. I feel like for what these kids explore in the universe of Star Wars, it's actually pretty dang cool. But just with the overall atmosphere, it really feels like the 80s, more of a retro vibe. But kind of what some people were talking about, it's based on the film, The Goonies, which is one of the great films of all time. But it definitely has that sort of vibe. And out of the first two episodes that I've seen, I think episode 2 might be my favorite, because that's where the story and the plot really gets going. Plus, just with the pirates and for how they play their role into the show, and the whole atmosphere and world of Star Wars, it's actually a very different tone, and just unlike anything that we've ever seen before. I don't know if the show is gonna get hate towards the end, but I just hope that they stick the landing this time. Speaking with this show in general, with Skeleton Crew, I just hope that they stick the landing, or stretched too thin to have something filler. But I think that this show is off to a good start so far. Plus, even though as we continue later down the line, I think it is gonna land well with people, despite how you view Star Wars as a whole. But especially with a coming of age show like this, with having that PG rating, but I feel like it's gonna do something more than that. Just with the whole story in general. Plus, I like how it's all laid out, even throughout the center of this show, and for what John Watts has cooked up, especially as he did the Spider-Man Homecoming trilogy for the MCU, and to see his direction and his take on Star Wars with the show, especially with the first episode, is actually really dang good, and I applaud him for that, and I hope that he gets more opportunities, because even for what he puts on the show, I think it's really, really good, and especially with Jude Law. I mean, he's probably in the show as well, and I feel like, I mean, I probably wouldn't say much, but he's in the show somewhere. But despite how we see him though, but I think like with his character, how like the end of the second episode ends, but I feel like he's gonna have a big role of leading these kids and to get them home. This is like a brand new adventure for Star Wars. This is like brand new, and that's how I felt towards the show. And there's nothing really much bad about it. It's like a very cute, adorable like a material, and I feel like it is really well adjusted, like just with the way that like it's all combined in storytelling, and like just with everything that is centered out, even for how it looks and feels, it has that very good, decent quality that I think like they really nailed down. Even with what I liked in general, especially coming from like the four kids and what their backstory is for how they somehow cross paths. I feel like these kids have like a very good chemistry with each other, but even though like, these are kids that are trying to work together to try to get back home, but it's that ensemble that like really makes a good feeling for the show. And yeah, like I feel like the storytelling is there, the action is really there, but I feel like after 2 episodes, I think it's starting to get really good, and I hope that the show continues on towards a good path, to where it like really sees a revolution from how it ties into the greater universe that is with Star Wars, and it's like I just hope that like it has its own contained story. And anyways, but even with the show, I think I like it. It's a decent show. I thought it's pretty good. It's pretty great, and I just feel like, I mean, people are gonna be having conversations about this, but I feel like it's a show. It's probably gonna make younger audiences happy, whether you like a coming of age shows or Star Wars. I mean, this show is for you, but for me as a viewer, I feel like this was pretty decent, and I feel like even with its overall structure, I feel like after watching this show, especially after getting a good feeling of it for what it's like, I hope that it continues down a good path, and that's all I gotta say from here on out. But that's gonna do it for this video. Just let me know in the comments below, and what are your thoughts on Skeleton Crew, the first 2 episodes, and what do you hope and should continue next? Let me know in the comments below, and if you're gonna continue watching. Don't forget to like the video, and subscribe, and turn on the notification bell for future videos. Also follow all my social medias over the link down below. And with that, I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.